Honourable Joe Goodhue.
Mr Speaker, I'd like to greet the House by saying it's nice to be back. It's nice to be back in business again. It's nice to be back in a position where we, the National Party, can continue with our plan, which will mean a brighter future for New Zealanders and is already reaping the benefits of the very disciplined plan of action under John Key, our Prime Minister. There is just lots to do. I'm delighted to be beginning this year with the portfolios that I held last year, and in addition to that, a very exciting addition as the Associate Minister of Primary Industries, something very, very close to my heart and my electorate of Rangitata, but even more so, should be close to the hearts of all New Zealanders. New Zealand is very heavily reliant on primary industries for its economy. So it is a very important portfolio, and one that I'm absolutely delighted to be working with the Honourable Nathan Guy on. The previous speaker talked about Labor creating jobs. You know, that's really where there is a huge chasm between this side of the House and that side of the House. On the other side of the House, the government creates the jobs. On this side of the House, the government creates the environment where the jobs will follow. The businesses thrive. They want to take on more employees. They want to invest in their businesses. They want the economy of New Zealand to grow. Let me remind the House of something I have said many times before. When the biggest business in town is the government, we are going backwards. To hell in a handbasket, in fact. When the biggest business in town is the government, as it was under successive Labor governments, there was a huge clean-up to be done. A huge clean-up to be done.
Big job.
And that is why, coupled with the clean-up exercise that we were left with after Labor went out of office, and the worst recession since the 1930s, global financial situation, which in fact has tested many countries around the world, and in fact I'd have to say New Zealand is doing remarkably well with growing about just under 2% and projected to grow around 2.5%. You know, my apologies, Mr Speaker, of course you all know this already, but the rest of the House may not or may need reminding that that's stronger than the Euro, Japan, UK and Canada. Now that puts us in pretty good company in terms of where we're at. So New Zealand is on the right track, but it will not be without further huge effort on the part of this government and all New Zealanders that we will get ourselves out of the mire that we found ourselves in 2008 with a projected 10 years of deficits. Surpluses were great. The Labor government had them, they squandered them. And it does drive me mad from time to time to think about just the terrible job they did. So what have we got now? This year should be a year of positivity. It should be a year of positivity because we are heading in the right direction, and New Zealanders have toughed out some very dark days, and certainly they've put in the hard yards and the government has put in the environment that will allow them to move out of those tough days. We have 4 priorities that the Prime Minister outlined earlier today. Responsibly managing the government finances. Now, wasn't that a change 5 years ago?
That's right.
A very changed way of thinking about things. Building a more productive and competitive economy. Again, that's how the jobs growth comes. It's not about the government creating the jobs. They are not sustainable when the government creates them. Better public services. A number of my portfolio areas are looking towards that, and I'll certainly enlarge on some of those a little later. And rebuilding Canterbury. I want to pause for a moment and actually talk about the sort of headlines I'm seeing in the Mid-Canterbury and South Canterbury papers at the moment. The headlines are unemployment numbers down again. Unemployment numbers down again, and at record low levels. The headlines are businesses feeling the pinch of skill shortages. Those new apprenticeship numbers will certainly help the businesses of my electorate.
Sure will.
At the same time, we have businesses like we have the new salmon processing factory being built in Timaru. We have light leathers taking on more and more stuff. In fact, we have good news stories, strangely enough, I can't remember other years gone by. I can't even remember under Labor where we had good news stories as often as we have in the local papers at the moment. That means that those businesses are finding the environment they're working in.
That's it.
Lower taxes, less regulation. They know that not only have we achieved change in the RMA, but we are planning more change.
Good.
That we still have some tough tasks ahead of us in reforming the RMA. Things that will be helping businesses. And I tell you, the people of my electorate know how important irrigation is to the future increased productivity of our land. They also know how important it is that water is used wisely and well, responsibly, so it does not fall victim to high productivity. So in fact it is a balance. Of course it is a balance.
That's right.
But the people of our electorate certainly know the potential is there for the $80 million newly announced irrigation project as a cornerstone with private finance in there as well to be a real boon for my electorate.
Good local MP.
Just those were the four main priorities, but underpinning those is the business growth agenda. Again, businesses actually employ people. Businesses give people without jobs jobs. Businesses give people pay increases. Anyone would think that what we were seeing in headlines was pay goes down again. That's not what we're seeing. It's been very tight. It's been very tight, but actually I can't remember inflation ever being so low in the years when I've been noticing it. I certainly can't remember interest rates being so low, and if you've got a $200,000 mortgage, that's $200 a week benefit compared to what it was in 2008. So that's certainly a bonus. But the work program under the business growth agenda, and I just want to remind the members, that's around export markets, innovation, skilled and safe workplaces, infrastructure, building infrastructure, very important. Natural resources, this is where water comes in amongst other things, and capital markets. Those 6 parts of the business growth agenda are the plan that we're enacting. In my own portfolios, just to touch briefly on my own portfolios, when it comes to better public services under my associate health portfolio responsibility for aged care, all facilities will be participating in the rollout of an inter-eye tool, which is about actually assessing all people across the whole country in a consistent, standardised way. All aged care facilities will be doing that. We will be publishing quality and safety markers. The care received in hospitals is getting better, safer, all the time. We are meeting targets for more people having elective surgery, more children having their immunisations done on time, and we as a government do not rest on our laurels.
Good.
So when we hit a target, we set an even more ambitious target.
Well done.
Now that's not something we saw under the previous government.
Not never.
So now we want 8-month-olds to have had all their vaccinations. So not 2-year-olds, but 8 months, because when they are at their youngest, they are at their most vulnerable. That is why we have changed that target. I just want to briefly talk about one of the targets around making hospitals safer, and that's actually, there is some targets that will be announced about surgery being safer, about falls being prevented, and about health care acquired infections. These are important, better public service. So each member of this government is playing its part.
That's right.
Getting the message out about the National Party's intentions for New Zealand. We are coming out of the recession period, the period when there has been difficult times, but at the same time we've lowered taxes. Superannuation has gone up even more because of lowered taxes. So in fact, members of the House, there are now better results indeed for women and their families as well. The gender pay gap has closed to 9.3%. It has been coming down each year, something we don't hear the other side of the House making much of. And in terms of the better public services, again, we're making sure that money is well spent. We've put an extra $100,000 into the volunteering fund. We have so many volunteers in this country doing an absolutely fantastic job. It's important that the government is using the money that it has set aside for a portfolio like mine in the best possible way to make use of it. So we've increased our support to volunteers. In terms of the Super Gold card for seniors, well, it's just incredible. It started out at 188 businesses and 2,215 outlets. There are now more than 4,300 participating businesses, 8,600 outlets. That's true value on the Super Gold card, not just like the empty card that was waved around when it first came into being. Actually, what that took is commitment on the part of this government to put the resources in to build that resource so that older New Zealanders want to put it in their wallet.
That's right.
Up until now, they were saying, why bother? Unless there was public transport in Auckland that they wanted. This government is committed to all of our goals, and that is a better and a brighter New Zealand and future for all New Zealanders. And I'm proud to be playing my part.
Good speech.
Mr. Speaker. Te Ururoa Flavel.